Was it the first half that did it?
Yes and no, because the first half we were under immense pressure. That was clear to see, and struggled to get out of our own half, and obviously conceded a couple of tries. One went down, being down to 12 men. So it certainly hurt us that period, and there's no getting away from it. But at the same time, I thought we responded well in the second half.
Your opposite number said he couldn't take anything away from the way you kept going. That was the real thing. You did change the edges, didn't you?
Yeah.
You saw that as a necessary thing to do.
Yeah, well, we're moving the ball and getting some joy down to our left-hand side, and we just obviously thought Matty Whitley's a centre playing a back row playing in the centre, and we thought we were getting some joy on the left. If we could move Harry and Tristan out there, have a bit more strike, we might get something from it, because quite clearly at that point we were in need of points.
At 12-6 on the hour mark, did you think you could do it again? Look, that third quarter was yours.
Well, the real frustration as I come away from the game is, and when you reflect on the game, is for the first 40 minutes they had a stranglehold on us, and they didn't let go. And then the second half started, and we had a stranglehold on them, and then we let go. Whether that be we passed it off the floor, hit someone there without the ball, a one-on-one steal, an error. We just big contributors to our own downfall in that period. And you do that against opposition like this, on a night like this, invariably you get punished.
Do you think you could still do it though?
Yeah, I did. Like at 12-6, even when it was 16-6, I was like, we get another try, we're in the game. I think when we scored to make it 12-6, you could sense there was a bit of tension in the stadium, and there was a little bit of nervousness around, and it was our responsibility to capitalise on that then. And actually what we did, we released that pressure. And we've got to take responsibility for that also.
Mike?
At first half, you suffocated you. It was almost going side to side, and a couple of times you just didn't get a kick away. Is that all factors in what they were doing to you, or do you need to be better than?
Well, it's in some ways, Mike, it's difficult. We've got you're carrying the ball off your own line, trying to go out the yardage, and there's not too much else you can do. And at the back end of the half, to credit to the players, we did start to shift a little bit more to pick up some metres, and did that really well. But we'd pick up the metres, get tackled on last, and different things like that, which didn't help us also. So there was just too many moments in the games where we've not perhaps made the right choice.
Was it relieved to get to half time? Because they were rattling you well.
Yeah, it was, and I said to the coaches in the box, I said, we just need to get to half time and settle everybody down here. Look, credit, because that could have easily blew away from us at one point, but we were resolute at times in the first half, which gave us a chance to go at the game in the second half. And at 12-6, given the balance of play, we were probably the happier of the two teams at that point. But then we contributed to our own downfall.
Was there a big factor at all in that first half? Because there was one set in particular where you had a really good defensive set and one kick, and you started on your own 10-metre line.
Yeah, I think the wind was a factor in the whole game, both sides, and it was obviously a strong wind from right to left as you look out. And, I think probably they handled that a little bit better than we did. Look, obviously we had the disruption as well. You lose John Bennison. Came into the game playing three middles on the bench because I thought we needed to match them up front. But when we lost John Bennison, it's not like we've got Mark Percival to stick out on the wing who's done it before, so we had to shuffle our spine around, which then took away an interchange and made it more difficult to rotate the middles as I would have liked to have done. So yeah, it had an impact, but you have to, I suppose, just handle those situations.
Could you feel them wobble after the try, but also after the penalty and the descent penalty? Yeah, there was a moment there, wasn't there? And I sensed in the ground that they got a little bit nervous, and had 12-0 gone to 18-0, then I think that I felt a lot more comfortable. But when it went to 12-6, given what we'd done last week, and people say you don't factor that in, but the psychology of the game is quite important at times. That they were thinking, hey, they're not going to go away here, and I don't think we went away from an attitude and an effort type of sense, but we went away in terms of being smart enough in the right areas, and ultimately, it made a big difference on the night. I'll look at it, looked like Old Trafford got that second try, but 5 minutes to go, you're still in it.
Yeah, we were saying like obviously the last play bounce ball, the ball doesn't go our way, but like I say, small margins in these big games, and you have to nail those moments. Something that we're going to have to look at moving forward as a club and as a team, because we hope to find ourselves in those situations again. Need to handle them better.
Imagine not having that first class and the injuries you got.
He's got an MCL, grade 2 MCL. So look, he literally couldn't. He was in a knee brace, couldn't really run, so there was no point in even trying to put him out there. He would have been unable to do the job. Should we have made the grand final next week, I'm sure he'd have done everything he could to be there. However, it still would have been unlikely.
Anyone else?
Paul, how will you broadly reflect on the pain of tonight's over on this season and what you've learned and the sort of good elements that you can take into next season?
Oh, well, I think you learn from the good and the bad, and I feel that myself, the team, a lot of the players within it have grew as coaches and players, but we've also grew as people. You learn to handle situations in a certain way, and add a few layers to the onion, so to speak. And we move forward and proud of the players. I know how hard they try. I know how much they care about each other. Particularly in tough moments in the season when there was a lot of criticism coming, not just my way but the players' way as well. How we stuck together, I think that was vital in putting ourselves in a strong position at the back end of the year. And when all said and done, we were 80 minutes from Old Trafford, and should we have handled a few things differently tonight, could have been there, but it wasn't to be. But a lot of lessons learned, and it's important that you learn those lessons, whether the experience is positive or negative.
Paul, when do you expect to know whether you'll be coaching on next season?
It got to the point where I think all of us were pretty then set just getting towards the end of the season and not making any announcements or decisions. So what I think it's important to do, obviously there's a lot of emotion surrounding tonight and losing a big game, so we'll let the dust settle there, but quite naturally the club have got to make a decision on what they want for the future, and those discussions will take place, I'm sure, sooner rather than later. But I don't want the emphasis to be on me today or my future. Look, I'm comfortable with whatever happens with regards to my future, but we've got a number of players there. Bell, Batchelor, Mbai, Knowles. I'm missing one more. Benison. They're leaving the club, and a lot of them have given a lot to the team, and it's important that we let them celebrate a couple of days with the teammates who they're obviously all going to move on to pastures new at the end of the year. If
this was to the end, would there be an element of disappointment that you don't get to see it through with the young lads coming through, particularly the signings that the club are hoping they'll be able to nail in the next couple of weeks?
Oh look, there's no doubt there's an exceptional crop of young players coming through the club. Harry, George, Whitby, George Delaney's still young, Noah Stevens, Owen Dagnall, so and young Leon Cowan who debuted the other week, and there's many more like it. So whoever has the privilege to sit in this seat next year, whether it be me or somebody else, has got a wonderful group of young players to work with, and also there's some work to do. There's no getting away from that as well. The team needs to improve. The team needs to get better if we're going to be challenging the likes of Wigan and OKR next year.